name is Rachel McDonald. I'm actually 44 tomorrow. I'm originally from Bristol in England. What's brought me to Wales, I suppose, is my ethnic background is my father's Jamaican, from St Anne's near Kingston Town, and my mother is Welsh, from the valley town of Porth, which is in Rhondda Cynon Taf, where I currently reside. So that's what kind of brought me to Wales all those many moons ago. Not necessarily my mother, but the family connection of my grandparents and aunties and uncles, cousins. So the family side of things. I enjoyed primary school. I remember enjoying primary school, Eastern Church of England School. I enjoyed my secondary school as well, St Mary Cliff and Temple School. Yeah, they were good times. Times at home were difficult and challenging. You know, my mum was bringing up 4 children on her own. And I would say a lot of the time I was the second adult in that house as well. I took a lot on of the responsibilities of making bottles. You know, I knew how to change a baby bum and nappy by the time I was 11 and a half even. So usually you've got a lot to thank me for. However, push 4 years forward from that, I find myself in dating my first boyfriend, or just under that. Yeah, and I ended up being pregnant at 15. I never told anyone about it. I'm telling lies now. I think I told my best friend, Amanda told her. She wouldn't mind me mentioning her name because we're still friends now to this day. I suppose getting Reese, that's my son's name by the way, Reese's pram. I actually took up a cleaning job as well, and I was still cleaning about, I was 8 months pregnant by this time, but I was helping my mum on one of her cleaning jobs at the school where I went. It was my primary school. So you find that I've left this primary school at 11, and 4 years later I'm heavily pregnant, helping my mum clean it so I can get a pram for my son. And we got it. Sorry, because I can remember how hard that was. Just to be put back at that primary school, knowing that I was still a child as well in lots of ways, but having a baby of my own. And we got that pram, and he had the best pram, and I can still remember it. It's a Silver Cross Mayfair, and we had all the attachments, the bits to it, and I was obviously it was all in the forefront of my mind. I could see it everywhere, and I always thought people would judge me that they thought I got pregnant on purpose to get a house. I can say that wasn't the case, but it was a big thing at that particular time. I didn't have my second child then until Reese was 8. None of my children were planned. Well, the 2 out of the 3 weren't. During that period, it was having to explain my ethnic background. Okay, explain that I'm not Black Rachel. I'm just Rachel. And that was it. That was it. You don't have to describe me that way, just call me by my name. And if you want to get to know me, then you can call me Rachel McDonald. It was kind of those things. Don't say Black Rachel it was really, and I still hate that to this day, to be honest. I dislike it immensely. You can describe a person not by the basis of the colour of their skin. It's really, if you know a person well enough, or you want to know them well enough, you address them appropriately. And yeah, there've been instances, on and off throughout the years, up until probably about a year ago, 2 years ago, where that's happened. So I'm quite happy and more confident enough to address that with people. If they, oh yeah, hi, Black Rachel. I don't know, at 23, I'm struggling a little bit. Okay, that I was ill during that period after that pregnancy, and diagnosed with clinical depression at that particular time, not just postnatal, because I really, teary-eyed, really struggling with, looking after, myself. But I think by the time I was 25, managed to get back on my feet to a certain extent. I landed a job within another local authority job as an admin assistant for an education authority. I think I'm at that point where I'm unsure of my own confidence, my self-esteem. I'm questioning myself, am I good enough, am I doing the right thing, regarding my work, because that was still reflective of whether I was being a good parent at home, whether I was still doing this because they're being looked after elsewhere through childminders and so on and so forth, but still being aware that I want to be doing something more than just being a parent. So from that, I ended up working for Newport City Council on the child protection team. I was a social work assistant, and again, very, very challenging, very, very rewarding in equal measure. And sometimes it was some of the casework of that, as you can imagine, could be quite intense. And to be honest with you, sometimes it made me feel, I'm not doing that bad a job with my own children. But then moving forward, when I was trying to engage with them parents, especially young parents, because I was one myself, that you're not just defined by being a parent or being a young parent. There can be more to an individual, more to a young person than being just a teenage mum. And I think for me, that was still in the back of my head, because I didn't go to university, did I? I didn't do the normal kind of route into, I went to college. I didn't do the normal route of what people will consider for professional development, to choose where you want to go in life, because my role had already been established in some ways at 15 by being that mum, because that was my priority. And my son left for university, so I'm very proud moment for me. I'm that single parent who's managed to bring up a healthy, respectful young man, to be fair. Even the conditions that we had growing up, the two of us, because there's only really 15 years between us, but I was immensely proud he got accepted into Lancashire University. So, huge deal. So he's gone to university by September. I had what was described as my first physical assault by the December, by a man I'd been with for 2 years. No hint of violence, nothing. And even when I look back now, I see nothing in those first 2 years. Which then went on to 4 years of domestic abuse, really. I think I only ever called the police once during that time. And during that abusive period, I've enrolled in college. So I went to college, I did that. I went to college for nearly 2 years though. Up until 2014, where I qualified as a level 4 practitioner in therapeutic counselling. And a little bit of that, I would say, education saved my life. Luckily, I had been contacted by BOWSO, a specialist organisation who deal with black and minority ethnic women who are experiencing domestic abuse. I'd never heard of them before at all, I get allocated an IDVA, Jasmine. That whole episode or part of my life has brought me to is where I'm having this conversation with you all. I was engaged with support, as I've previously mentioned, BOWSO. again, the emotional support that they gave me, practical support that they gave me to recover from the abuse. I participated in the Recovery Toolkit program, which is a 12-week kind of CBT orientated approach to recovery from abuse. And I attended, it's a 12-week session, I attended every session, and it helped me to address my own coping mechanisms and my own struggles with setting boundaries and building my own confidence and self-esteem. I volunteered with BOWSO, fundraising, those kind of things over the years. Even ran in Cardiff Half, I think, 3 times for them as well, to the point of where I was asked then to become a board member, board director of BOWSO, and I've enjoyed every minute of that though. Talking about, delivering domestic abuse services, trafficking. We work with trafficking as well. We work with women who have no recourse, and that's kind of my, I would say now, my specialist area. As I said, I'm a British mixed race woman. I can access service. The service is available to me. Okay. Have a national insurance number, all of those little things that when I'm working with women who have no recourse are hindered at. It's hindered as a block for them, and you'd be surprised with the current climate where we are in this country with Brexit and so on. If those things are to stop, if I'm a woman, travelling in a different country or coming on a forced marriage, it's kind of. And experiencing domestic abuse, I hid, okay, and I could have accessed, or I could have dialed 999. The blocks that there are for women with no recourse is the fear of being deported, the fear of having their children removed as well. They continue to stay in a relationship and tolerate the abuse because of financial reasons, as again, regarding immigration status. And that was, I didn't become aware of those things until I became involved with BOWSO. Or even to the fact that it kind of existed in the UK. However, I feel as though I could do more. So I resigned from the board and vice chair and applied for a post with BOWSO as an IDVA on the RISE project. So part of my role as an IDVA is the safety planning, the safeguarding of high-risk domestic abuse victims. I did that for nearly a year in RISE, and I applied then for a position here in Safe and Merthyr as part of the Domestic Abuse Resource Team. I'm currently the core IDVA here, so broadening my repertoire as an IDVA, because not only am I working a caseload like I was in RISE, I'm actually still doing high-risk victims with a caseload, but I now work in the criminal justice system, per se, every Thursday at Merthyr Law Courts, which is called that part of court is SDVC Court, which is Special Domestic Violence Court, where all the criminal proceedings of a domestic abuse nature are heard. I absolutely love this role, to be fair. It's literally given me an outlook of thinking, where to go next.
And where's that?
Law. Okay, I mentioned it on my audio interview.
Yes.
I got a LinkedIn for that. So I've already looked into it since we've done it. There's 1 or 2 things going on at University of South Wales. We never like talking about ourselves unless you're that self-assured, and I'm still a work in progress in lots of ways. I'm still questioning myself. But not as much as I used to. I think it's only natural to kind of do that. But the challenges that have been along the way. I've never chosen to do anything, really. You know, it's never been a life plan. It's never been, get through school, do my GCSEs, go to university, get a fantastic job and live happily ever after with 2 kids and a white picket fence. For some people that might be their lives. It certainly wasn't mine. And I currently do this work that I do through painful experiences, and it is all about turning pain into power. And I'm a great advocate for that, because sometimes, you know what, one thing I used to say to myself a lot, another little mantra of mine, I don't do bitter, I do better. This is it, it's all about where you're at in your life and doing what you feel comfortable with. But if you've got a plan, yes, go with it, but expect to deviate from that plan to get to the end goal, because it's never a straight line. It's always a zigzag or up and down. It's never just one direction. And the fluid of setting a life plan, setting a career. You might be, as women and young girls, nothing wrong being a housewife and looking after your kids and being a homemaker, because you know what, if you were paid to do that role, you earn more than what I'm earning now. Okay, so they're not to be belittled or disrespected. I like my life now. I'm not saying it's any easier. I still got to pay the bills. I still struggle with Christmas, because I'm still that working single parent. But it's worth it. It's just where I am now. I can look back and say I had to go through that to get to where I am now. I didn't want it. By any means did I want it. But again, it's about turning pain into power and giving yourself that belief that you can be whoever you want to be and be happy with that. And, it doesn't rely on anyone else's permission to be who you want to be. My favourite places, like next week, it's my daughter's birthday, and as I said, it's mine tomorrow. And I'm on a reasonable. I have an income, but again, there's expenditures. You've got to just watch yourself. But we're actually going away because it's our birthdays, really. So we're going to Tenby, but Tenby is one of my favourite places. It's in Pembrokeshire. I also like Aberystwyth as well. So if you like the coastal towns, because in my old age, there's going to either be 2 ways. I'm either going to have a bar and a med, because I like working behind the bar. I suppose it's a little bit of my character, like that little banter, like that fun side of things. But on the flip side of that, I don't know where I'll be in 20 years. I might just want a quiet life, like a nice little coastal town. Yeah, that's what I'm pushing for at the moment, but you never know. You never know.